this. So the first point I think is very important, and my connection was terrible, and Rachel was saying something very interesting. So maybe I can ask her to make a brief comment about this. So about the ecosystem of brokers, Toms. Can you say something about Rachel? Are you here?
Remember, have like around 4 minutes per.
Yeah. Yes.
Per breakout room.
Sure, very quickly, I was emphasizing the need for a flexible architecture of the whole follow-up ecosystem, because different science cases have very different needs, and I think we need to put effort into understanding their use cases.
Yes, and regarding that, we were also discussing about having a workshop where we can gather use cases that help us to design the tools that Tom, brokers and Sky Portal can use for their design teams, and also to invite directly some working groups who are not normally attending these kind of meetings, because we know that the transient community is always very they are always participating in all these broker workshops, but maybe people from the Galaxy Science collaborations or Variable Stars, I don't know. We need to make a direct invitation to them. We were also discussing about, well, this workshop is going to be very useful. A lot of people were very interested on this. Also about the use of Sky Portal for brokers without interfaces. It has been very useful. It helps to the interaction of different users. Also, we need a centralized place where users can have access to all the information available about brokers, Tom, so they can know exactly which broker or which Tom or Sky Portal service is providing the tool that they might need. Also the same, we also talk about how coordinate follow-up campaigns regarding the same. It will be nice to have a centralized place where all this information is available, like who is providing the tools that you might need. I think, yeah, we discussed a lot, but I don't have much time.
Thank you, Paula. Then for the how to coordinate follow-up breakout room, is anyone summarizing that room?
Alyssa, would you be willing to offer what you took away from your great notes?
Yes, yeah, sure. I can do that. So in our room, we started with discussing why we need to coordinate follow-up in the first place. So this is things like, you have very high priority objects that everyone wants to follow. Maybe they're fast, so you need to make the best use of your resources. We also need to keep in mind our static sky friends and make sure that we are, you know, taking our science observations in a way that benefits everyone. When you're trying to do time domain science and you want to get multi-band data that's coordinated in times, like different filters that are obtained at the same time or different types of observations taken at different facilities, you definitely need to coordinate on that. And if the community doesn't coordinate themselves in making the best use of the facilities, this puts the need on the facilities to now moderate what everyone is doing and making sure that people aren't taking the same data at the same time and stuff like that. So those are all really good reasons for why you want to coordinate follow-up within the community. After that, we discussed how there's both political and technical barriers to coordinating follow-up and which of these have solutions now and which we need to get solutions for. So yes, basically we talked a lot about how if you build your technical solutions to enable political solutions, that is a good idea. You want to build the things so that you enable political solutions and enable sharing basically down the line. But we also recognize that for the foreseeable future, there will be a lot of people working with proprietary data. And so exactly how you share, for example, the metadata for your proprietary data so that at least other people know that you got that and they don't you know, repeat the observations that you already got. It's like a a partial solution that can be both technically enabled and then sort of enable further political solutions in the future with regards to data sharing. There was also the point made that if big programs really focus on solving both the political and the technical issues at the same time, these two things really go hand in hand. So if you're building the technical solution in order to share the data, and you have really big programs with lots of co-Is, it's going to enable a lot of science, this is something that the TACs are going to receive very well anyway. So if you're kind of taking this multi-pronged approach to solve both of these barriers, you know, you might do even better. We ended up, so that was like a lot of discussion, and then we ended up coming back to, okay, of all of these issues we're trying to solve, what are the brokers actually responsible for? Or maybe I shouldn't say responsible, but well placed to do. And so coming up with things like, you know, ways that brokers can coordinate information from across their different users and make public what they can make public in like nicely organized lists that people can use. And also I think the point was made that the brokers are where astronomers are already going. So they're a good point, like a good base for communications, because we're going to be using them already anyway. And that also goes for TOMS, of course. I think that's it, yeah.
Thanks, Melissa. And the next is how to make brokers multi-messenger. Anyone?
Unfortunately, everyone dropped out of that session, so I think there won't be a summary.
Okay, thank you. And finally, then the querying in SQL and NoSQL. You know who's talking about that session?
So I chaired it, although Julian made some amazing notes. So Julian, are you on?
Yes, I am. I can make a quick summary of the notes, which are themselves a summary of the discussion in 2 minutes. Yeah, so we discussed, so it was initially a very good idea of Ken to discuss that on the use of NoSQL, so which is a type of database. So we are all used to SQL, but now we are all moving to NoSQL, so which makes our life very difficult. So we discuss different things. So one of the problem of those databases is that they don't. It's very easy to have a multi-index search. So usually you have a single index, and then you are stuck with that. And so how you can make different queries based on time or space or whatever. So there were some ideas bring like using lookup tables or index table, which are things where you store only object ID or whatever that then reference to the main database where you have all the objects. Sorry, all of that is very technical, but it's very interesting. There were some ideas of using graphs to manage the metadata as well, which is quite interesting. Then we said, well, it all depends on the use case. So sometimes a combination of SQL and NoSQL can work. It's just like we need to decide. Then we discussed various systems, HBase, Cassandra, Postgres. We discussed how also to access the change. So if you're storing the data, it's one thing, but if you're changing the data as well, how you can keep track of the change when you have so much data and other things. We discuss data lakes. So data lakes are just unstructured blob of data. So it has some advantage, but it's okay. We discuss file system as well. So we discuss Cephfs, HDFS, S3, Amazon S3. We agreed on starting a document also to share findings, ideas, and expertise, which is probably what we miss today. So we are isolated, each trying to solve the same problem usually. So it would be good to have a centralized place where we can first discuss and share ideas. So that's good. And we finally discussed the use of Elasticsearch or any system basically that is used in addition to your database to speed up searches using indices. Turns out to be used in different teams. Sorry, it's a very short summary on top of a long discussion. Again, if I miss something, just
No, you've got everything there. That's great. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So I think we can have a bit longer break, and we come back at 17:55 UTC.
It's great. Thanks.
Thank you.